Welcome to the Wednesday meditation service. I'm going to read the daily word for today. I listen and receive my intuitive guidance. When I need guidance, I turn to the still small voice within. I offer a question in prayer and then let it go with gratitude. Releasing concerns in prayer means freeing myself from fretting or ruminating about what troubles my heart. I trust guidance will arrive in the right way at the right time. I do my part by staying open and receptive. I focus my thoughts on gratitude and trust my heart's wisdom. If I find myself worrying or mentally picking up the problem once again, I don't condemn or criticize myself, but return to a prayer of gratitude. Spending time with God in prayer and keeping a song of gratitude on my lips helps me be ever ready to receive guidance. You guide me with your counsel, and afterward you will receive me with honor. Psalm 73:24. So we're going to, if you have somebody that you would like to, a name that you would like to be called out at the time of prayer, you can write the name on a piece of paper that's by the prayer box and just put it inside. While Jack is speaking, I'll pick it up and it'll get onto the list. It'll be there for a month, and then it will go to Silent Unity for another month. Prayer is the foundation of unity, and Silent Unity has been going on since the early 30s when Unity started. And you can always call into the Silent Unity prayer tower that's at Unity Village. So we're going to do a chant now that is very simple, and just relax and don't think about what you sound like. Just feel what you're saying. I am in your presence. I am in your presence. Cleanse and purify my mind. Cleanse and purify my mind. I am one with all. I am one with all. I am one with all. I can feel your presence. Cleanse and purify my mind. I am one with all. I am one with all. I am one with all. Kindness and love flow through me. Kindness and love flow through me. kindness and love flow through me. Where there is love, there's peace. Where there is love, there's peace. Where there is love, there's peace. I am in your presence. Cleanse and purify my mind. I can feel your presence. Silently guiding me. I am one with all. I am one with all. I am one with all.
In summation of all of the teachings of the Master of Life, we have this passage which is so relevant to our times. This is from the book of John. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives peace, do I give my peace to you. Not as the world gives peace, do I give peace to you. And this is a statement that we should contemplate, because in our world, people have peace, peace of mind, peace within, when conditions and circumstances are meeting their personal expectations, their desires. But when that is not the case, then people go to pieces, and people have resistance, anxiety, depression. So this peace that the Master is speaking about is mystical peace. And while we are on this spiritual journey, we should understand something about mystical peace. It is an amazing, beautiful thing, especially when you know that it exists and that it can be attained and that it has nothing to do with the way circumstances are going. It has everything to do simply with stepping out of the thinking of the world, stepping away from the conditioned ideas we have about life and how peace is sustained. So it is a holy pause in our incessant thinking. We've all grown up with the idea that we can think our way through things, and there's nothing wrong with having an intelligent approach and an awareness, and to think things through and work things out. But when we're talking about life altogether, we will come to that place where we realize the intellect, the human intellect, no matter how grand it seems in its abilities to create technology, is not capable of establishing peace. We just have to look at the world to realize that. There's conflict everywhere. And it is because we are not necessarily open, or we haven't arrived yet in the enlightened level of awareness. So most people have no awareness whatsoever about there being another dimension of consciousness one can enter and have this beautiful peace that is not contingent on circumstances. And if one has that in his or her life, then one becomes an emissary of peace, becomes a channel for the divine. And that's what the object of our spiritual practice is all about, this peace. A Course in Miracles speaks so directly to it, we should look at it as well. This is from the Course in Miracles text, page 283. In the new edition, it's on page 299. Think not you understand anything until you pass the test of perfect peace. For peace and understanding go together and never can be found apart. Each brings the other with it, for it is the law of God they be not separate. They are cause and effect, each to the other. So where one is absent, the other cannot be. Think not you understand anything until you pass the test of perfect peace. For peace and understanding go together and never can be found alone. Each brings the other with it, for it is the law of God they be not separate. They are cause and effect, each to the other. So where one is absent, the other cannot be. Such statements define our yoga. They define our goal in living, which is to be able to live in a peaceful consciousness, in that mystical state. And of course, the Bible speaks about it being in the world, but not of the world. So that there is a transformation in consciousness that a person makes through spiritual practice, and eventually is able to sustain that mystical peace and become an emissary of peace. And that is the goal. And it is also the most beautiful gift that life has to offer. That is mystical peace of mind, that you can deal with any situation and not lose your peace of mind, which is what we should bring up, because people think that having mystical peace of mind is not, and that it is not contingent on circumstances. They say, well, what if there's things that you have to do? Well, they're talking about, situations where there's some type of dishonesty taking place in their relationships with someone, or some kind of condition that is very negative. The truth is, in the state of mystical peace, you have insight. You will know what to do, and you will be able to do it while maintaining your peace of mind. What happens to us in the thinking of the world, or we can watch it play out, when something is not going according to what a person would like to have going, the person quite often just loses peace altogether and attacks, supposing that by attacking and overcoming the other person's opinion or position or action, you will again have peace. But that seldom is the case. So we can still do things that are required of us to deal with limited experiences. But when we're well practiced spiritually, we don't surrender peace of mind when we're doing it. And that is the measure of mastery, to the depth of your peace, that you're able to carry on in whatever circumstances are presented without surrendering your peace of mind, which is your connection to the divine. Because only in the divine awareness can you have peace, true mystical peace. Outside that awareness, you're in the world. You're operating in the limited thinking and limited definitions of life that people harbor and carry on and defend and fight for in the world. But they are not true. They are limited. And they don't bring peace. Only more fighting, more consternation. And so, the great master Eckhart Tolle created a whole program in his books about living in the now moment. And what he has to say about living in the now moment, he changes the priority that we have in the world. See, the priority in the world is to advance yourself personally so that you can acquire and amass enough of what you need to get by on this material level and do well and be okay with things as they are taking place, keeping up with life in the outer-directed, illusion-driven world. But Tolle is writing about leaving that illusionary world, is leaving the duality of the past and the future. Can you imagine the faith that we are going to be demonstrating when we are able to do this, to live in the awareness of the now moment, not being caught up in the past and the incessant thinking about things past that need to be dealt with, and not caught up in the projections of what the future may bring, that we have to align ourselves with some kind of defense or some kind of actions or activities that are going to make the future better, brighter, safer, whatever it may be. We should now be able to see, because of the teachings of the now moment, that these teachings of being in the now, surrendering the duality that the world lives in, of the past and the future, surrendering the duality and living in the now moment. And you see, the goal is not to be in a state of anxiety or fear or concern as we are when we're living in the thinking of the world. So this is Tolle from his book, Stillness Speaks. And this also outlines the yoga once again. Can you detect even the slightest element within yourself of not wanting to be doing what you are doing? This is a denial of life, and so a truly successful outcome is not possible. If you can detect this within yourself, you can also drop it and be total in what you do. Can you detect even the slightest element within yourself of not wanting to be doing what you are doing? That is a denial of life, and so a truly successful outcome is not possible. If you can detect this within yourself, you can also drop it and be total in what you do. You can see here a call to a life-transforming yoga, so that in the day, instead of simply being tossed to and fro by every changing tide of circumstance, you have a goal, which is to be awake to what is taking place within your own consciousness, So that you're going through doing the things that you have to get done, but you're no longer caught up in them to such a degree that you are no longer identified with your goal or your journey, which is to be aware of any time you have resistance to what it is you are doing. And see how he's making peace, inner peace, the measure of your success on the spiritual journey. So if you're capable of discerning when you are not at peace, you can pause. You can take a holy pause and know that peace is the most important goal, the most important thing that anyone can have. Because when you are doing that, when you are entering that state of peace, you are transcending the world. You're overcoming the world, which is what the Master of Life said our journey in life is all about. Overcoming the thinking of the world that holds you in limitation. Forever being changed and tossed to and fro by the changing circumstances, and you say, well, I'm angry because of him, or I didn't do the right thing again, and I'm angry at myself, or this is bad, or that's wrong, and I don't feel good about that, and they should know better. He should have done better. Why aren't they doing the things that they're supposed to do? All of that goes on in the thinking of the world is simply an illusion that keeps us from entering in to the higher level of awareness and sustaining that beautiful mystical peace and seeing the world for what it is. So we don't surrender the goal of being awake while we are alive. And that's just it. I mean, many of the teachers down through the ages speak about, people in the world sleepwalking, that they're asleep. In many cases, they speak of them as being dead to the spirit of truth, dead to true life. And so when we are practicing this yoga, becoming more and more mindful when we are not in sync with harmony, when we're not at peace within, we can pause and heal that. And then recognize what it means to live effectively. So that we have peace, because we know it's so important. It's one of our goals. We're willing to stay in this present moment. And not to try to force the moment to fix or fit our personal point of view or expectations. We take and we have gentle ideas and ideals. I think it was, I can't think of the master's name, who said to choose everything you would like with a preference and not a demand. So you're living your life and you have a preference. You may have a preference to get this promotion at the job, or you may have a preference that you're going to prevail with some legal situation that's taking place. Or you have a preference that this person will see your side of the story. You have a preference that your business will do better because you've now understood how to make it work for everybody. But it's a preference, not a demand. As soon as within you, you're saying things like, boy, if this thing doesn't work out, I don't know. Or saying, if that person doesn't do what they're supposed to do. So your mind is thinking of all the things that you'll have to do to avoid that difficulty, to avoid that disaster, to avoid future intrusions. But you see, there's no way to be alive. That's not any way to be alive. Although that's what the majority of people in the thinking of the world are doing every minute. They're not awake in the process of learning how to live effectively, beautifully, joyfully, powerfully, because they don't have a spiritual goal. They're still operating in the false definition of life. And that's what we are transcending in our unity practice. So, being wholehearted in our resolution to practice this yoga is important. Some of you may be practicing this yoga already. Some of you may be involved in mindfulness, that you're awake when something is going on within you that is taking away your insight, your peace, your connection to what is truly real and valuable. So you're awake to that, and you're not going to surrender it for the ego-centered idea of getting even, fixing that person, making sure they do it the right way this time. You do it in a relaxed manner, with insight, and you're guided to do it in a more harmonious manner, harmonious way, because you are in the presence of God. You have chosen to live in and from the presence of God. And I know that people have a difficult time accepting the idea that this is true prayer. True prayer is sustaining peace in mind, in allowing one's awareness to be present in the moment, operating from pure guided insight, which is spirit. And that is prayer. You can pray for the power that you recognize to be God, to intercede in conditions and circumstances, maybe not in your life or in somebody else's life, and you may be praying for something very good to take place in somebody else's life, hoping that this power will intervene in that person's life or this situation. And you're expecting that that is prayer. And the reason why your prayer are seldom answered is because true prayer is being in the consciousness divine and seeing it as the consciousness being shared by everyone and everything you were before would be praying for. But instead, you're simply maintaining the consciousness divine, the sublime awareness of the presence of divine peace and love in every person, in every place, in every condition. Yes, people along the way will use words to pray, and that's good if it inspires you to feel better about life and conditions and people. But the ultimate prayer is consciousness, entering into the consciousness of the reality of the One, the presence of One. And in knowing that within yourself completely, you are knowing it for all of those who you would before pray for. Because if they enter into that and find that and feel that, they will heal. So we need to look again at this truth through the eyes and through the understanding of the Master Eckhart Tolle. This is from Stillness Speaks, page 67. When you say yes to the isness of life, when you accept this moment as it is, you can feel a sense of spaciousness within you that is deeply peaceful. The yes to what is reveals a dimension of depth within you that is dependent neither on external conditions nor on the internal conditions of constantly fluctuating thoughts and emotions. When you say yes to the isness of life, that is, you're not in resistance to it. There's not an inner resistance. There's a willingness. And with that willingness comes the insight how to move in concert with the conditions and circumstances that are there. That's it. The difference is you're not resisting, not fighting, not fearing, simply flowing, because it is. When you say yes to the isness of life, when you accept this moment as it is, you can feel a sense of spaciousness within you that is deeply peaceful. The yes to what is reveals a dimension of depth within you that is dependent neither on external conditions nor on the internal conditions of constantly fluctuating thoughts and emotions. This is the secret of truly successful living. And of course, Tolle will go on in his many writings now to say, there is no such thing as a successful moment without peace of mind. There is no such thing. You may have a lot of different moments in the world and in thinking of the world that you have deemed successful, but they have only been momentary passings in which the illusion found favor in your limited, ego-centered perception. That's all that happened, and that's going to pass very quickly. Because change in the outer-directed, illusion-driven world is guaranteed. And the necessity then to find a way to live effectively is to rise above the thinking of the world, even though that may be the thinking we actually relied upon through our lives. It now only becomes a tool that the insight may use, because it's insight that guides. And it is that reality of total harmony in awareness that allows us to flow with life. And that is successful living. So finally, there is this that we can do. When we are in resistance to anything in life, quite often is because it's something that we feel that we have to do. So things are happening and you say, oh, I have to do this. Oh, I have to get that done. Or I have to get to this. I have to do this. If you hold that idea that way, you will always be in resistance. Now, here's something that you can practice. When you feel yourself having that thought, why do I have to do this? Or I have to do this? Pause and change the idea from what you have to do to what you want to do. Make the things that you have to do the things you want to do, as though you were doing them for God, which in a sense you are. So you have that garage to clean, or you have this meeting that you have to have with these people that before you really didn't care too much about, or you feel it's a waste of time. All of these different things that you say, oh, I have to do this, or I have to make that phone call. Oh, I don't want to do it, but I don't have the time, but I will, I have to. And instead of going with that limited thought that brings limited feelings, take the thing that you believe needs to be done and make it what you want to do, as though this is the most beautiful and valuable thing that you can do. And when you do that, you will end resistance and you will enter into mystical awareness. You will become a master of life. So tonight we're going to practice meditation together, which is part of our mastery of life. It's part of our spiritual practice to imagine that as a spiritual practice that's required, that we have to pause from chasing the world in our minds. We have to pause from the incessant thinking, trying to figure it out, how we're going to make the future better or fix the past that came along. So instead of that, we meditate, which we pull away from, and we waste time. Meditation is the greatest waste of time. In fact, you can use that as an affirmation. I am here now, totally wasting time. I enjoy the peace that comes from wasting time. So we're going to practice this meditation tonight. I'm going to listen to this bowl. This is a very helpful way to just allow yourself to feel the tone and move with the tone into that place of being okay here in this moment. Not wanting, not grasping, not fearing, not worldly running, but just sitting, just being, just allowing. Let that be the affirmation when we get to that silence. I am here now, allowing the moment to be just what it is. I am here now, allowing the moment to be just what it is. I am here now, allowing the moment to be just what it is. In this refined level of awareness, let us offer the names of those that have been submitted to our prayer list. As Norma calls the name, just allow your awareness to recognize the oneness, the peace, the presence. Let that thought, the oneness, the peace, the presence, follow the name.
Kara Wertheimer, Marilyn DiCallo, David DiCallo, Kate and Neil, Jeff and Rhonda Hansen, Paige Miller, David, Daniel, Dennis, Frank and Marge Hagan, Joni, Linda, Azalin, Mary Beth, Catherine, Janelle Gamblin, Lynn Gamblin, Brandy Gamblin, Tom, Michelle and family, Sandy Spahn, asylum seekers from Central and South America, Paul Ducro, Kate Beltrami and family, Marin, Catherine, T.J. Pestoleski, Kathy Stewart, Patricia Marie Johnson, Becca and Justin, Bill Carlson, Zolita, Sarah and Farouk Farhangini, Farhangini, Jamie, Cintisha, Scotty, Walter Hayes, Debbie, Cynthia and friend, Christine Smock, Sandy Chamberlain, Kathy Calkins and daughter, Susan Shado, Lou Collins, people of Ukraine, Somalia, Iran, light fill the people in America, the air, the water, earth, all life on planet Earth.
Let us join a vision now of this sublime consciousness of peace entering the affairs of human beings, everyone sharing this Boulder community with us. And this enlightened attitude and consciousness entering the hearts, the minds, the very souls of everyone sharing the state of Colorado with us. And this divine awareness moving out into the consciousness of everyone sharing these United States of America with us. And it ultimately entering the consciousness of all humanity in every nation, in every race throughout the world. And this also bringing about that purification in the application of our actions in the world, restoring harmony and peace to the environment, restoring joy and love consideration and compassion to all human relationships with all the creatures on the planet Earth, restoring the pristine majesty and the beauty of being alive in the awareness of nature as the expression of the living presence of God. As we pray, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and God is love. To this we say, Amen. We will take an offering for unity now. And as we are preparing to do that, I believe there's a place on the website or on the streaming that you can scroll down to that shows you the different ways you can donate to Unity of Boulder. And we will pass the offering bags around for those of you that are seated here. And let's all together bless this financial gift we'd like to make to Unity of Boulder. Divine love blesses and multiplies all that I give and all that I receive because I give. And so it is.
Spread over us wings of your peace. Spread over us wings of your peace. For with you is the source of life. In your light do we see light. We see light. We see light.
Join me now, please. We dedicate this tithe to the will and the work of the Spirit of Truth, the Spirit available to each of us, the Spirit that joins all of us. We dedicate this tithe to the victory of the Spirit of Truth. Amen.
The bookstore is open, and if you've never been in the bookstore, it is so beautiful and so well laid out. It's just an experience to see it and then see what's in it. And I will be doing the Samhain on Monday at 7 o'clock, and that's when the souls that have passed on are the closest to the planet, and we kind of communicate with them. And what we do is we write a little note to the people, and at the end of the ceremony, we go out into the outside. We have a big burning bowl, and we send the message up to our loved ones. We've had some incredible experiences at that ceremony. That's why I do it. It's really what Halloween's about from all over the world, is that special time with the closeness.
We have tea and cookies for you who would like to stay and chat through these doors to your left. And on Sunday, we'll be continuing. I will be doing the 9 o'clock service with Norma, and Santisha will be doing the 11 o'clock service. And to all of you,
And we have
thank you for coming.
choir practice tomorrow at 6:30, and it's still open. We're doing very, very simple spiritual chants to lead the congregation with. And it's very not hard music at all, but it's inspiring. And being up here and giving your presence with these words that we'll be singing and helping these people to feel the presence you're feeling in singing them and getting them to sing also. So,
But ultimately, you're expanding on to do Christmas music
yes,
and
yes.
all the songs that go with our
And also Thanksgiving service.
Thanksgiving service and Christmas service. Okay. To everyone, good night.